Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kastuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from the Adriatic Sea in Dalmatia, Croatia. This is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kastuba Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to beautiful Croatia. We are on a boat with Road Rage and his wonderful wife, Govinda Priya. It's breathtaking. It's breathtaking. We're like in blue water. We got Mara here. We've got the kids, his kids, my kid, one of my kids, and we're on a boat. We're having a boat day.
Well, you were so
and it's
grumpy.
a great way to start your morning.
You're so grumpy when you left. Now you don't seem grumpy anymore.
I don't think I was grumpy, Prabhu. I was grave and thoughtful. It's one of the qualities of a devotee: grave and thoughtful.
All right.
Yeah, I was grave and thoughtful.
What happened?
But you know what? We got released. We had a great day yesterday. I was leaving. I had a lot to do. The day of travel, getting kids together, getting Mara together. She's all over the place.
It's Mara's fault.
Just kidding. She got me together. But so now, check this out. We're at this 500-year-old sort of abandoned monastery. It looks like it's brand new, doesn't it, Mara? Looks brand new. We're on a cliff. I'm overlooking the Adriatic Sea. Our boat is docked. We have to swim the computer to the shore to get the computer up here. And we're hotspotting from my iPhone. It's a little dangerous. Sometimes you got to risk, Juba.
Okay.
Yeah. It was making me think, though, that even 500 years ago, there's people living here going, you know what? I want to be a monk. The material world's not for me. I don't want to just buy things and sell things and defend myself from enemies and search for gold and hunt and whatever they were doing 500 years ago. They're like, you know what? There's got to be more to life. And they built, I mean, what a work of art, I'm looking at this beautiful stone monastery, and it's away from everything to get here. I don't know how they got here back then, but when here you were, what did they eat? What the heck did these people eat? Yeah, fish. They must have ate fish.
Probably
anyway, that's where we're at today. And we're here for a few days. Okay. Mara, tell how impressive I am with my part-time botany.
Raga's really been shining as a part-time botanist. Road Rage has also been very impressed with.
He's like, that's an olive tree.
Everything under cypress trees here.
Okay.
That's an olive tree. Yeah, it's hard to identify when there's no olives on it, my friend. There's olive, figs, weeping bottle brush, oleander everywhere. Anyway, different caper trees. Anyway, it's quite. I was impressed with myself how much I knew here. Okay. Kastuba.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's but I will say everything's peppered with the Bhagavatam. When things are getting too good, like we're on a boat, the sea is blue, the cliffs are on either side of us. The Bhagavatam comes into my mind going, don't get high at any moment, everything can just collapse. It's hard to enjoy the material world after you study the Bhagavatam.
Try to see Krishna there, Raghunath, and then whatever happens, you'll be good. Just try to see Krishna, right? That's my advice.
That's a good one. That's a good point.
Okay.
Okay, I will.
It doesn't mean you can't enjoy it.
I'm seeing Christian in the Beauty of Nature right now. That's for
Yeah.
sure. Okay. I realize I don't take vacations. Either I'm leading some retreat. I mean, they're cool, exotic retreats, traveling to holy places, or this like I have like 4 days of I'm on vacation.
Good for you.
Yeah. Anyway,
Okay.
good to see you. Have a good flight today.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mara.
Announcements.
We have a Back to Your Recovery group meeting at noon today and asana class with Josh Kane tomorrow morning for our Patreon members at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. Do we want to say anything about your Vani course on Saturday, your webinar, Happiness Amplified?
Happiness Amplified is on. You got to go to courses.vani. I'm sorry. Yeah. courses.vanischool.com/happy. courses.vanischool.com/happy. That's going to be on the 24th. That's this Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. Happiness Amplified. We use there's just some ragu techniques of things I studied in Vedic literature that I find are useful when things seem like everything's falling apart. So you can, just little tips for 1 hour. I think you like it. Sign up there and it'll hold your spot. There you go. All right. Want our nugget for the day?
I do.
Sir?
Yes, please.
Okay, this is from Oliver Wendell Holmes.
Do you know who Oliver Wendell Holmes is?
Your friend of mine.
You know who he is?
No. We've quoted him before. I can't remember.
Have we? Jonathan
think
Livingston
so.
Seagull.
Who is he?
We did before.
Yeah. Yes.
Oliver
here it
Wendell
is.
Holmes was one of the most famous Supreme Court justices. You there?
Huh. And he wrote Jonathan Livingston Seagull?
No, he just has three
That's
names
very
like
impressive.
Jonathan Livingston Seagull.
Oh. I thought you wrote it. By the way, Road Rage from Croatia also didn't know what goat meant also. Greatest of all time. So when I said on the show, I don't even know what goat means. We're calling everybody the goat. He's like, wow, when you said it means greatest of all time, I didn't know either. I wasn't alone. A lot of people don't know what the goat
he's
is.
from Croatia. He speaks another language.
Well, no one gave me the memo. That's what goat means.
Everybody knows that. Anyway, you know now.
Okay, Oliver Wendell Holmes.
Yeah.
Ready? Every now and then, a man's mind is stretched by a new idea or sensation and never shrinks back to its former dimensions. Mm-hmm.
How does this?
It's sort of like what I was saying when I was on the boat. It was like, it's hard to enjoy the material world when you know how delicate the material world is. When you know what's the word, Mara? When you know how fragile everything in the material world is, it's hard to enjoy the material world.
And your mind
always ushers us.
At some point, you're saying?
Yeah. The more you study the Bhagavatam, your mind gets stretched to a new way of seeing the world. It doesn't mean you walk around mopey, not at all. You walk around joyful. Why? Because we're joyful beings. We just focus our time more on our spiritual life. But anyway, if you're new to this is a podcast where we say, you know what? There is happiness and there is distress and they're real. And you can't just spend your life just trying to avoid distress. You just got to dig into your genuine joy, which is underneath the happiness and distress. That's samadhi. That's the yoga system. And I think introspective people come to these. That's why we do these nuggets in the beginning of the day. It's just to show how introspective people come to these conclusions anyway. Thoughtful people will come to the same conclusions that the Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita are teaching.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. What's your interpretation of this?
Well, to me, I had many thoughts on this, but I like it, and part of what I like about it is that it counters. It's just amazing how arrogant or narrow-minded we can be to if we actually have even just a little bit of humility or wisdom, then we're quite aware of how little we know and how little we experience and how much is beyond the reach of our senses and the reach of our mind. And that being the case, thoughtful people will say, how can I stretch my perception? What is it that I'm not perceiving that may be very important, right? Maybe very, very important for my development. Is there something that I should be picking up that I might not be picking up? And if one's eager like that, then the mind can stretch, right? He says by new idea or a new sensation, which are both, interesting, right? And sometimes the way that it works is you receive the idea, and through reflecting on that idea as you go through life, you actually begin to feel it. You actually have a sensation that expand, and then you stay stretched, right? And so in one sense, what we're trying to do is we want to perceive dimensions that we don't perceive. For a person that identifies with the body, I am this body, the knowledge of, what to speak of, the perception of the self as being separate from the body and the mind, that's a new dimension of thought.
Sure.
And it will do us well to stretch our mind to accommodate that. Kind of the fundamentals of spiritual thought, right? I'm not this body, I'm not this mind. I observe them, I work through them.
There's many different layers on our spiritual path. I mean, the first time a person realizes, you know what, I'm not going to drink alcohol anymore. I'm not getting anything out of this. For the payoff it gives me, I get so little. Or the first time a person starts to, like, something clicks with vegetarianism or animal rights or veganism, they're like, no, just like our Murari Prem, Sweet Banjo Mike. He was like, a hunter, a fisherman, and then he just had a paradigm shift. I can't do this. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to go out of my way causing harm. There's enough harm in this world. The first time when I started becoming a vegetarian, and I was a fisherman, so I remember putting the worm on the hook again after a year of not eating any animals except fish. I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this to this worm. It's like you change the way you think, and then once it goes that way, you have to really stick your head in the sand to go on with life the way you used to know it.
Yeah, it'll get stretched, and he says, and it never shrinks back to its former dimension, right? And so, what to speak of, like the things that these books are telling us that are like way beyond our perception, and ultimately, what does that go up to? It goes up to the form of Sri Krishna. Can we perceive that form? What does it take? What does it take? Here's a question, Raghunath, right? What does it take to expand my perception? What is required for me to see and understand and experience what I'm not seeing and understanding and experiencing right now? A more narrow type of thought will say, well, we need to, like, for instance, with the eyes, we need to expand their power through a certain type of lens. We might do that, right?
Yeah.
But what these sages are saying, no, we're not talking about sense perception, right? We're talking about what we understand and what we feel, and ultimately what can be seen through spiritual senses. So, like, these sages were interested in perceiving the form of Krishna, perceiving the pastimes of Krishna, that one could actually sit in one place, and now we're really to where perception, when you stretch it out the full way, that behind all of this existence, we've been talking a lot in the past week about realizing the Paramatma as the network that's holding together this entire universe and making it all connect and making it all move. That's a deep level of perception. I would like to understand that beyond the theory. What to speak of understanding the form of Krishna, the pastimes of Krishna. That's where this all ultimately leads. So in one sense, all of these yogic texts are about expanding our perception. The yogis looking at the materialists and saying, come on, let's try to expand it, right? Don't settle for the very narrow scope of perception that you have. Human life is granting you the opportunity to expand it. And until you even attempt to do that, you're not really living yet. You're just going through these motions of following the dictations of the senses. Let's live. Let's expand that perception. Let's see what lies beyond it. Don't you have any sense of adventure? Don't you have any, go for it, take advantage of the opportunity. All right.
Life is a game. Play it.
That's our news.
Life is a game. Play it.
Play it.
Okay. All right. Let's get in with the sweet nectar pot of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you, Oliver Wendell Holmes. Do I know where we are? We're starting a new chapter called "A Description of the Island of Jambu Dweep."
Yeah, it's kind of like more the same here. Although I think towards the end of the chapter, it will get into some of the measurements and that kind of thing. But mostly it's the same as last chapter. We're moving around. We're hearing from different great people in different places in the universe, offering their prayers and their thoughts and their realizations to Lord Vishnu in his different forms. We're going to hear first from your friend and mine, Hanuman.
Sukadeva Goswami? Hanuman, okay.
Hanuman. All right.
Okay, so the narrator, Sukadeva Goswami, is saying, Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, whichever means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, and to Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksurun Midatamnena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Okay, reading from the 5th canto, chapter 19, text 1. Still there, Kastuba?
I'm here. Let's go.
All right, great. My dear king, in Kimpurusha, Varsh, the great devotee, Hanuman, is always engaged with the inhabitants of the land in devotional service to Lord Ramachandra, the elder brother of Lakshman and the dear husband of Sita Devi. A host of Gandharvas is always engaged in chanting the glories of Lord Ramachandra. Okay, that chanting is a host of Gandharvas is always chanting. Yeah. There are, beautiful higher beings always singing songs of glorifying the Lord.
Okay, so they got a whole course of these otherworldly.
Like the Christians talk about angels singing, playing trumpets. It's the same thing.
All right.
It's just glorifying God. You still see this in India, of course. You hear old ladies just sitting around singing songs to Krishna or Ram. It's just like what they do to fill their time. They just sing songs together. You got to do some work, you sing a song. You're making dinner, you sing a song. Yeah. Right? You're going for a walk down a road, you sing a song. And they're all prayers. They're all like beautiful prayers. But it's fun to sing. It's fun to, it's like the whistle while you work. It's like chant while you work. And that's their work. They see Lord Ram and you see someone, you want to glorify and appreciate that person.
Who's the best singer you've ever seen in your life?
Best singer?
Yeah.
The best singer?
Yeah.
I don't know. Who? How about you?
If I were to pick one singer who just for pure voice ability, if I had to pick one, I'd probably say Whitney Houston.
You saw her in person?
No, I didn't see her in person.
Oh, I don't know. Mariah Carey, she's pretty good. Pavarotti.
No. You're just throwing names out there.
Well, no, Pavarotti's good, and Mariah Carey's awesome.
Good, but can you name one of his works or something like that? Or are you just throwing that name out because his name
just throwing the name out because I've heard him sing. My father used to play the records all the time.
You Google
Janet Jackson. Come on,
Janet Jackson. Give me a break, Raghunath. She's not like.
All right, Kostuba, you are. You're going on vacation now, and you're like in a squirrel mood, and I'm not going to play it. I'm not playing your game today. Let's stick to the Bhagavatam, please.
No. I'm
Text 2.
Whoa. What's going on here? Slow down. Hey.
Flipping the script.
No. Here's my point. If you Google Whitney Houston singing the national anthem, the power that she has is phenomenal. I mean, it's not like I'm really into her music. I thought it was mostly kind of, just this pop stuff, but her voice, what she can do with it with such ease is phenomenal.
It's almost unfair.
Now, these
like singer's privilege. These singers are privileged.
Now, these Gandharvas, we can imagine they're just way beyond that.
Think they're better than Whitney?
I think they're way better than Whitney. And imagine
where do you go from Whitney? You go up
to the Gandharvas. And imagine them all singing, glorifying Lord Ramachandra, what that must sound like. Oh. And Hanuman's right there just taking it all in.
Yeah. We do kirtans. The kirtans are good, but, they're not. Imagine a bunch of Gandharvas leading a kirtan.
Okay. Let's hear more.
Okay. Text 2. A host of Gandharvas. Text 3.
Nope. Did you read that? I don't know if you read the whole thing.
Okay. Hanumanji.
No, a host of Gandharvas.
A host of Gandharvas is always engaged in chanting the glories of Lord Ramachandra. That chanting is always extremely auspicious. Hanumanji and Aristasane, the chief person in Kimpurusha Varsh, constantly hear the glories with complete attention. Hanuman chants the following mantras.
Okay, here's
the
prayers.
Hanuman's prayers. Yeah. Let me please your lordship by chanting the Bij mantra Omkara, which I offer to my respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, who is the best among those highly elevated personalities. Did you notice me doing Hanuman with a slightly British accent?
Well, Hanuman, he may be a monkey person, but he's actually very sophisticated.
He's actually very British. Your lordship is the reservoir of all good qualities of Aryans. Aryans means the civilized culture, right? People,
Raghunath, you got to read, okay? To get your head together and read this thing.
It's hard. It's very bright out. Mara forgot my glasses. I'm gonna blame. Can I just blame Mara and the sun instead of taking any responsibility?
I mean, I'll read it if you need me to, but
your lordship is the reservoir of all good qualities of the Aryans, people who are advanced. Your character and behavior are always consistent, and you always control your senses and mind. Acting just like an ordinary human being, you establish exemplary character to each other, to teach others how to behave.
You exhibit exemplary character.
Okay. There is a touchstone that can be used to examine the quality of gold.
You've seen that before?
No. There are little.
I don't know if that means
they're modern things they use to tell if something's solid gold or fake. I've seen those.
Just like if you go into the jewelry stores in India, they have a stone and they'll rub it to check if something's gold.
I've never seen that.
Yeah. I don't know if that's exactly what they're talking about here.
But you are like a touchstone that can verify all good qualities. You are worshipped by the Brahmins, who are foremost of all devotees, and you are the supreme person. You are the supreme person, and you are the king of kings. Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisances to you.
Okay. So he's seeing in Lord Rama all good qualities, and he's saying that we can understand what good qualities are, or if someone has good qualities, by holding them up to the character of Ram.
Okay. Continuing on. The Lord, whose pure form, Satchidananda, is uncontaminated by the modes of the material nature, can be perceived by pure consciousness. In the Vedanta, he is described as being.
Whoa. This is important, Raghunath. This is important.
Oh, I know. I took it in. I
But
took
we're
it
meant
in
to
and was
talk
moving
about it on
forward.
this. I'm meant to talk about
But
it on this podcast.
if you need to try to explain it to yourself, you go right ahead.
Okay. So in any case, let's just see. This is exactly what we're talking about with the nugget, right? The Lord who's pure form. He has a pure form. It's Satchidananda Vigraha. It's eternal. It's a form that's eternal, full of knowledge and blissful form. It's uncontaminated. It's untouched by the modes of material nature. The material energy is not affecting it in any way. And it can be perceived by pure consciousness. So when our consciousness is pure, we can perceive that form. Otherwise, we can't perceive it. Okay, well, what does it mean to have pure consciousness? We can get into that in a bit, but please continue.
Okay. He is untouched by the contamination of material nature, and because he is not subjected to material vision,
Hold it.
he is
You skipped the part. In the Vedanta,
in the Vedanta, he is described as being one without a second.
Okay.
Because of his spiritual potency, he is untouched by the contamination of material nature. And because he is not subjected to material vision, he is known as transcendental.
not
He has no
subject to
material
vision.
activities. He has no material activities, nor has he a material form or name. Only in pure consciousness, Krishna consciousness, can one perceive the transcendental form of the Lord. Let us be firmly fixed to the lotus feet of Lord Ramachandra, and let us offer respectful obeisances unto those transcendental lotus feet.
Okay, let's get
Text
into the
5.
commentary here.
Let's get into this. Let's get into this.
Let's dig into this. But a few things here, like from the translation. It's saying that this is really important in terms of our entire theology. It's saying that the Supreme Absolute Truth has a form, that form is not in any way touched by materialism. In other words, it's not like the forms that we are used to. Every form that we know and that we perceive through our senses is bound by time, right? It's not the same. It's not made of the same stuff. Krishna's form is entirely transcendental. In order to perceive it, you have to have the right consciousness. It begins to define that. It uses this term Vishuddha Anubhava. Right? Vishuddha means like entirely pure, transcendentally pure, and Anubhava means experience. So you're only having that experience when your own consciousness becomes of the same nature as his form, right? His form is transcendental. When our consciousness becomes transcendental, the two connect, right? It also mentions towards the end of it says niraham, that this is the state of awareness in which you perceive that niraham, free from false identification. Right? Okay, let's hear the commentary, Raghu.
Okay. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, appears in various expansions, as stated in the Brahma Samhita.
Ramadi Morti Shukala Niyamena Tishtam.
Thank you.
Nanavataram Akarod Bhavaneshu Kintu. Krishna Svayam Samabhavat Paramapumamyo. Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami.
I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, who is always situated in various incarnations, such as Rama, Nrsimha, and many other incarnations as well, but who is the original personality of Godhead, known as Krishna, and and who incarnates personally also.
So he comes as Krishna sometime too.
Yeah. Krishna, who is also Vishnu Tattva, has expanded himself in many Vishnu forms, of which Lord Ramachandra is one. We know that the Vishnu Tattva is carried by the transcendental bird Garuda, and it is equipped with different types of weapons in 4 hands. Therefore,
Okay, so he's saying that when we think of Vishnu, we think of this 4-handed being flying around on Garuda. Now we're hearing that Ram is also Vishnu Tattva, is of the same category Vishnu.
Therefore, we may doubt whether Lord Ramachandra could be the same in the same category, since he was carried by Hanuman, not Garuda, and had neither 4 hands nor the Shankha Chakra Gada and Padma, right? The lotus, the disc, the wheel, and the club. Consequently, this clarifies that Ramachandra is as good as Krishna, Ramadi Murtishu Kala. Although Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, Ramachandra is not different from him. Ramachandra is unaffected by the modes of material nature, and therefore he is prashanta, never disturbed by the gunas. Unless one is saturated with love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot appreciate the transcendental value of Lord Ramachandra.
Okay,
One
that's
cannot see him.
we're talking about expanding the perception, right? Stretching the
Yeah.
mind, trying to understand.
When you think about just the devotees, people listen to the show and they have the Ramayana in their house, the book, the Ramayana. They think, oh my God, this is a sacred book. I'm going to put this on a sacred shelf. I'm going to put this on the altar. If you're not a devotee, it's just one of your many books that make you so enlightened. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
We hear the pastimes of Lord Rama, it touches our heart. Okay.
One cannot see
Because
him.
demons like Ravana
One cannot see
have
him
no
with
spiritual
material eyes. Did you read that?
Okay, one cannot appreciate the transcendental value of Lord Ramachandra. One cannot see him with material eyes. Because demons like Ravana have no spiritual vision, they consider Lord Ram an ordinary Kshatriya king. Ravana, therefore, attempted to kidnap Lord Ramachandra's eternal consort, Sita Devi. Actually, however, Ravana could not carry off Sita Devi in her original form. As soon as she was touched by Ravana's hands, she gave him a material form, but she maintained her original form beyond his vision. Therefore, in this verse, the words Patyak Prasantam indicate that Lord Ramachandra and his potency, the goddess Sita, keep themselves aloof from the influence of the material energy. In the Upanishads, it said, Yam evaisi vrinute tena labhya. The Supreme Lord, the Paramatma, the personality of Godhead, can be seen or perceived only by persons who are saturated with devotional service, as stated in the Brahma Samhita. That's the one.
Premanjana Charita Bhakti Valochadena. Go ahead.
You go.
You
You go,
looking?
Kostuba.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I
support you.
Charita Bhakti Valochanena Santa Sadaiva Hridayeshu Valokayanti Yang Shama Sundaram Achintya Guna Swarupam Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami.
I worship the primeval Lord Govinda, who is always seen by the devotee, whose eyes are anointed with the pulp of love. That's a thing. When a person has like a problem with their eyes in the old days, they'd make some herbal salve and put it on their eyes. And so they say you can see Krishna when your eyes are anointed with the pulp or with the salve of love. Isn't that beautiful?
Just as Oliver Wendell Holmes was speaking of stretching the mind, it's kind of like stretching one's vision, what one can see, what one can perceive, right? Stretch it. How does it get stretched? The only way you can stretch wide enough or far enough to perceive this form, only one way. That's love, right? Salve of love. When your eyes are seeing through that, then you see that form.
We see that happening with ourselves, with the devotees, with people getting into bhakti. Their eyes become tinged with the salve of love. And they almost appear what I call a little Krishna crazy to their friends. Anybody out there appear Krishna crazy to your friends? Like your friend is about to eat an apple. You're like, no, offer that first. Offer that to Krishna first. And your friend's like, what the hell is wrong with you? I'm just eating an apple. Don't eat it. It's Krishna's apple. Krishna crazy. Similarly, in the Chandogya Upanishad stated, Etas tisro devata amena jivana. In this verse, the word anena is used to distinguish the Atma and the Paramatma as two separate identities. The word Tishro Devata.
You know what's happening here? I know what Prabhupada's referring to. So he's quoted 2 times from the Upanishads here. The first one was from the Katha Upanishad. It's Katha Upanishad 1:2-23. It's a very famous verse from the Upanishads. Raghunath doesn't like the Upanishad. He's like, Upanishad. You're having a version for them. Why?
I like the bhakti literature, man. They focus on the
this
form of the personality of Godhead.
Okay. Well, there it says that the self is not to be attained, or the supreme self is not to be attained by the study of the Vedas, nor by the intelligence, nor by much hearing, but can only be attained. It's translated in different ways, but can only be attained by the one who's, there are two things that are being mentioned. The one who's very eager to see that form. I've lost interest in other things, right? I've lost my eagerness for seeing other forms. I want to see this form. I want to perceive this supreme form. I want to see Sri Krishna. It's revealed to you not by you could read and study, you can chant lots of mantras, you can be very intelligent. That doesn't matter. You have to really want it. And other times it's translated by saying it's you only get it when it's given to you by the Atma. Only receives this vision when it's given by the Supreme Atma, when it's granted by grace, right? So then when it's talking about this verse from the Chandogya Upanishad, which is saying a similar thing, but Prabhupada points out that here in the first verse from the Upanishad, you might, because it just says Atma twice, you may not understand, but in this verse it's more clear. We're talking about two different beings here. There's one, right? And there's the Atma, and then there's the Supreme Atma, and it's that Supreme Atma that's granting its grace. Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Please
totally
continue.
lost.
Huh?
Yeah,
In
I'm
this
totally
verse
lost.
of the Chandogya Upanishad, the word anena is used to distinguish the Atma and Paramatma as two separate identities, which wasn't as clear in the previous verse.
Keep reading. Keep reading.
Words Tishro Devata indicate that the body of the living entity is made of three material elements: fire, earth, and water. Although the Paramatma enters into the heart of the Jivatma, who is influenced and designated by a material body, the Paramatma has nothing to do with the Jivatma's body. Right? It's a form that's that's entirely spiritual. It's untouched by that body. Because the Paramatma has no material connections, he is described here as Anama Rupa Niraham. Right? Nir Aham. Aham means this sense of identity to the material. Nir Aham means it's this form, it doesn't have that material connection. The Paramatma has no material identity, whereas the Jivatma does. The Jivatma may introduce himself as an Indian, an American, a German, and so on. But the Paramatma has no such material designations, and therefore he has no material name. Interesting, right? Like you've got an Italian name, Raghunath, right? Paramatma doesn't have that. Paramatma is just beyond all of those temporary shifting things. The Jivatma is different from his name, but the Paramatma is not. His name and he himself are one and the same. This is the meaning of Niraham. He doesn't have any, which means without material designations. This word cannot possibly be twisted to mean that the Paramatma has no ahankara, no I-ness or identity. He has a transcendental identity as the Supreme. This is the explanation given by Jiva Goswami. According to other interpretations given by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Niraham means Nir Nishchayena Aham. Niraham does not mean that the Supreme Lord has no identity. Rather, the stress is given by the word Aham proves strongly that he does have his personal identity, because Nir not only means negative, but also means a strong ascertainment. So Prabhupada is sharing verses that are indicating that you only perceive this form when you really want it, when it's given to you. And then he's trying to help us not misinterpret the Upanishads by thinking that where it's saying that this form has no material identity, that we think it has no identity. Okay. You getting bored over there, Rugger? You seem like you just lost interest. You're looking at the water. Is there any porpoises out there? What are we eating later? Anyone bringing the olive oil over here anytime soon?
I wonder if there's good olive oil in this region. I'm doing it, man. Listen.
What?
I'm showing up.
Okay.
They had every reason to cancel the show. We are on a boat on the Adriatic Sea and cliffs to jump off of and climb up. I pulled over.
So you don't have to come with any intention.
I'm doing my best here.
All right.
My kids are playing
when we're done. You're going to jump in the water?
I'm going to jump in the water like the kids are doing right now.
All right. That's what
Preparing
you're thinking
for
about.
themselves without adult supervision.
You're so transparent, Raghunath. That's a good quality.
Okay.
That's a good quality.
That's okay.
All right.
I'm an open book. All right. Where are we?
Why don't we read one more verse?
Are you sure it's almost over?
Oh, look at you.
One. It's 50. Let me swim. All right, here it is. Here's another great verse. I'm going to read one. This is a great
book. Stir up a
book.
little enthusiasm for this, Raghunath. Just a little bit.
Look, I'm pulled over. That's enthusiastic.
Okay.
It was ordained that Ravana, the chief of the Rakshasas, could not be killed by anyone but a man. And for this reason, Lord Ramachandra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appeared in the form of a human being. Lord Ramachandra's mission. Oh, why was that? Why was the reason that he couldn't be killed by? He could only be killed by a man.
Did he get that benediction from Brahma or something? Like Nrsimhadev?
I'm having a little brain fog here. It's all very interesting, huh?
Snap out of it.
Okay.
Mara, right now, this is what you do to him. Just reach over and give him one of these. Just wake him up a little. You can do that, Mary. She's like, I can't do it. No, you can do it.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared in the form of a human being. Lord Ramachandra's mission, however, was not only to kill Ravana, but also to teach mortal beings that material happiness centered around sex life or centered around one's wife or husband is the cause of many miseries. He is the self-sufficient Supreme Personality of Godhead, and nothing is lamentable for him. Therefore, why else could he subject the tribulation by the kidnapping of Mother Sita? So this is a big thing. It's not so easy to end on that, but it's one of these things that is sort of the highest thing. People say that all the time. What's the highest thing? Family. You can't beat family. Nothing's higher than family. And in one sense, in the material world, it is the highest thing. And here again, it ushers us to, yeah, it's the highest, but even with the highest thing, even with family life is riddled with a lot of problems, just being on the plane yesterday I hear little kids screaming their heads off on the plane. And I remember traveling with little kids, how exhausting that is. But it's also the most wonderful time of your life when your child is a toddler. It's like the most special time of life. So even the highest pleasures in the material world are riddled with painful times. So here it's ushering us towards there is more, there is higher, there is sweeter. Go there. Yes, having a family is a good thing. It's a high thing. It's a special thing. It grounds you in the material world. It's good for your mind. It can be good for your mind. But at the same time, there is higher. Go higher. Yeah. How was that for the purport of Raghunath?
You squeezed a little something out. Yeah. That was good. That was
great. Like that?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to the water.
I think especially, it's speaking to the idea, like, again, in a more, as you're saying, in a more pious world, right? A man might easily think, I want to be happy in life. And the way that I'm going to accomplish that is I'm going to find the most beautiful wife possible. And then I will be happy, right? And it's just pointing to that ultimately doesn't lead to happiness. Ultimately, any kind of material calculation leads to distress. It's an illusion of happiness. Don't go for the illusion. Try to perceive what's beyond.
It's not because she's not a beautiful and great person. She could be a great person.
Raghunath's just trying to be so PC here.
Not PC, just because. I'm trying to introduce our audience who may not have that may not have thought this one through. They think, well, no, I actually have a great partner. She's my partner.
That's
she's
great.
wonderful. So
that's there.
Yeah, but we're saying it's still temporary. My parents had a great marriage. My father died unexpectedly. It's temporary. It's a temporary pleasure as opposed to some lasting, eternal thing.
Okay. All right, Raghunath. Time for you to swim. Take that. Get into that.
Okay. See you later.
Temporary pleasure.
Mara's taking over from here. Go on, Mara.
All right. I got some takeaways. You can't leave.
I'm not leaving. I'm just stretching.
Okay.
I stood up this whole show. I've been standing. I don't know if you can tell.
Very good, Raghunath. Thank you for that. That was austere. What you go through just to help others is.
Yeah.
He's not even
Now
here
we'll be
anymore.
watching him stretch in the background.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey,
Try to
there we go. There's our guy.
It's Road Rage is here.
Road Rage. There he is. Love that guy.
All right, continue on.
Okay.
Continue on.
takeaways. Try to see Krishna wherever you are.
Try.
Yeah, I do. Krishna says, "Bodies of water on the ocean." No, I think he says, "I'm the Ganges."
You're not at the ocean. In
No,
any case.
flowing rivers. Flowing rivers. He's the Ganges. Of bodies of water is the ocean.
That's not the ocean that you're at,
both-
Ragnar.
The sea is part of the ocean.
Yeah, okay.
Your boat could sink at any moment.
Krishna said, "Of food, I am Italian food." I think that's what he says.
Bhagavatam stretches your mind.
Stretch it out.
Stretch Armstrong.
Dig into genuine joy beneath the fleeting happiness and distress.
Dig it.
Stretch Armstrong.
You liked that one, didn't you?
What does it take to expand my perception?
What's it going to take? That's the question.
Sing a song of beautiful prayers.
Sing a song.
Sing out
Make it
loud.
simple to last a whole life long.
Purify your consciousness to see the divine.
Sing of good things, not bad.
Happy, not sad. You know what? That's a deep meaning in that song.
It's right about.
Anoint
It's
your-
right. It's right about your level. That's at the kiddie pool over there, and you're lying down there. It's pretty deep over here.
That's our takeaway today. Sing of good things, not bad.
Okay.
Your mantras should be good, not bad.
Anoint your eyes with a salve of love.
The anointed one.
Perceive beyond the temporary illusion.
Perceive.
And it's okay to be an open book.
It's okay, Ragnar.
Our computer's about to die.
We love you as an open book.
Look at this view, everybody. Look at this view.
It's too bright. We can't see anything.
You can't see that boat.
No. See road rage.
Thanks everybody for joining us live from the Adriatic Sea. We'll be back tomorrow. No, actually, we may not have a show tomorrow because Kastuba's traveling and he's sort of lost in space. We're going to blame this one on Kastuba, which means we're not having not a show Saturday, no show tomorrow or Saturday, but a show on the next
Whoa,
day.
that you just unilaterally did that, Raghu.
Unilaterally. Unique.
All right.
On Saturday, we are going down some crazy waterfalls.
No, yeah, we're saying some prayers, actually.
He survives. We're getting back on.
We're having a silent prayer meeting. That's what he meant to say.
I think if we got you tomorrow, you're going to be even more distracted than you are today.
But we'll see you Sunday. What's happening Sunday?
Okay, Q&A on Sunday then.
Sunday, yeah. Sunday is great.
Okay, so
Road
Sunday at
Rage's
8 a.m.
Road Rage's birthday. At what
It's
time?
Road Rage's birthday.
Can we do that at 2 p.m.?
Yeah, we can do. Yeah,
What about
this is
what about the ferry?
ferry is in the afternoon, late afternoon.
Okay, we're good. We'll
So
see you
that's
Sunday,
8
everybody.
a.m. normal time on Sunday.
That's right, 8 a.m. Sunday.
It's a beautiful day for a beautiful day. I'm gonna
All right,
ask
you
everybody to bathe in the sea today. Bathe their consciousness.
And I'll see you guys in London. Please come. Good area.
Yes, go see Kastuba in London. Thank you,
At,
everybody. I love
Studio
you.
108 on Saturday.
Let Govardhan Hill give you shelter as Lord Krishna lifts it over our head, protecting us from the rain clouds of Maya. Hi, Bo.